we saw what's his name?
Cyrus Habib. He's talking in the microphone, and also we saw Jay Inslee and his wife at the place when he was signing the to pass the bump stock thing, and then after that we saw we learned about Mary Fairhurst. Yeah, and also the place was huge when I went there. It was like so huge because I'd never been there, and it was like outside was huge, inside was huge. Yeah,
and they have a lot of books.
Yeah, the library was so big, and it had so many books. And it had, like, she said it was one in the middle, one downstairs, and one upstairs. And then we went upstairs, and then there was more books, and then it was
fun. Why were you there? Explain why you were there yesterday.
Oh, we were there.
To give speeches, right?
Yeah, we were there to. We were there yesterday to stop gun violence, and we were doing
6620 was it?
Yeah, 6620. And one of the girls that used to be in our class, Asia, she speaked on the microphone. She spoke a speech on the microphone, and she was like really good. And then Q13 interviewed her, and the guy put it on news. Yeah.
That's great. So you guys came down for the hearing on Senate Bill 6620, which is the school safety bill, and then you also got to go to the bill signing for the bump stock bill?
Yeah.
Excellent. So you guys were here you must have been here all day yesterday.
We didn't get home 6 hours? Only
4:30.
So 4:30
No.
like.
Oh no.
No, we left around.
We left around 8, and then we came back at 4:30.
Yeah, so that's a full day.
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. I might have seen you because I saw a bunch of students here yesterday, and I was wondering if the Denny Middle School students were a part of that big group. The answer was yes.
There is 5 of us. There is 5 of us. No, there was 4 of us. 4 of us. Yeah. 4. No. Yeah. 4 students and 1 Miss Lori. Yeah.
Excellent. So what was your most favorite part about the day yesterday? It sounds like you enjoyed a lot of it. Could you pick one moment that was really exciting?
My favorite part is when I stood right next to Jay Inslee while he was signing the thing. Yeah.
Excellent. How about you two?
I think my favorite part was either looking at the gold coin in the middle or looking at the books in the library. Yeah.
My favorite part was embarrassing my dad in front of Jay Inslee.
How did you do that?
Well, so my dad actually meets with Jay Inslee quite a lot.
And so was your dad there yesterday?
No, he was in Boise yesterday.
Okay. So how did you embarrass your dad?
Oh, yeah, I just embarrassed him because you know how you, like, act all professional around him?
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad came back and acted like a child.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Were you sucking your thumb? Is that how you were acting like a child?
No.
I'm just
doing.
Did you guys get pens from the governor?
Yeah, mine's at my house.
Mine's
okay. There's your pen. Great.
Wow. I didn't hear about that.
They work really good.
Yeah, the pens are so pretty, and it works so well.
So, the 3 of you, how did this inspire you to work for more, to do, what should we do in this class? How did this inspire you?
This inspired me to like think about what I'm gonna be when I grow up. And now I kind of want to be a Senate or like a governor, like Jay Inslee. Because when I saw Cyrus Habib, I was like, if he can do that, I can do that. So yeah.
Absolutely. He's very inspirational. He has overcome a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
Do you know how he lost his sight?
No.
It was due to cancer. So
what?
He overcame cancer, and he's become a very successful person despite his disability. It's a great story.
So one of the main persons down there, guys, can't see, she's blind. Name is Cyrus Habib, one of my former high school students.
So I don't really know what I want to do, but We were joking around that we both want to become the president and that we would have to compete against each other.
That would be fun. Two people from Washington State challenging each other for president. That's exciting. So what are your what steps are you guys going to take in order to get involved in politics or get involved with public service? What are some things you can start doing as a youth to become engaged?
First, I want to learn more about the system and how the place works, and then after that, I want to be a page next year, and then after that, from there, I want to learn more from the senates and the governors and the lawmakers. And after that, I'm gonna take school and then become one, I guess.
Okay.
So next year I'm actually moving to Boise, which
Idaho.
That's the state capital of Idaho.
Do they have their own set of laws and systems?
so I was gonna learn their laws and how they work, and then I was hopefully gonna become a page.
Boise?
Yeah, in Boise. Great. So those are some great ideas, because definitely becoming a page gets you familiar with the, you become more familiar with the legislative process. But you guys are also just a few years shy of being 16. And there was a law passed this year that has passed. It's on its way to the governor. And although you won't be able to vote at the age of 16, you would be able to register to vote at the age of 16. So at the time that you become 18, you are all ready to go on your 18th birthday, and you'll be able to vote. Because becoming an involved citizen and being a public servant by providing public service, whether it's by being a page or becoming an elected official, your first opportunity to become involved in the legislative process is your right to vote. So I encourage you all to add that to your list when you're asked, what do you want to do? What steps are you going to take? The first answer should be, I'm going to start voting at my first opportunity. So that's something I can let you guys know, that bill number, but that's a pretty exciting advancement that was made. It was a priority of the legislature, the House and Senate this year, was to provide greater voter access to people. And one way that they wanted to do that was not just focus on adults and minority populations who are over the age of 18. They wanted to get kids involved 16 and 17 years old. So by the time they're 18, they're well informed and can start making decisions as far as what laws you're interested in, and provide your values would be a part of the decision-making process.
Arlie's got a question. Okay.
So I heard that there was a law or a bill, I'm not sure, that allowed 13-year-olds to get married, and I was wondering about that because I heard my parents talking about it, and people were trying to change that, but there's still debating going on about it.
I am not familiar with that bill at all in Washington State.
I can look it up, but that was
I've been told, somebody here is telling me it's a different state. It's not in our state.
okay.
So each state can have different laws of what age you need to be married. I believe in our state, it is 16 with a parent's permission. And then once you become an adult at the age of 18, obviously, then you would be legal to be married.
Okay. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, that's a great idea. One other item I wanted to share with you about ways to get involved is when you go to college, most college or all colleges have a student government branch, and so that's another way that you can become involved, just like you guys have a student government in your junior high, and there's one in high school. There's also one in college. But something that you can also look into is becoming a lobbyist, a student lobbyist for your school, for your college. So the University of Washington, Washington State University, Central, Western, Eastern, all of those state schools, they appoint students to come to Olympia during legislative session and do what I do and advocate for legislation that benefits your school. So that's another thing that you can look into doing, is becoming not just a representative of student government, but also become an advocate for whatever group you're with, and spend some time in Olympia as a kid or as a youth, being a student lobbyist. Any other questions? Thoughts?
Any other questions?
Josiah's got a question. With his legislative session.
Hey, when does the legislative session end?
Tomorrow.
That's on my birthday.
Tomorrow is the last day of legislative session. Today is an important day. At around noon today, the state will release, or the legislature will release the operating budget. Do you guys remember what the operating budget covers?
Schools, right? There was.
That's correct. The operating budget covers all of the spending that the state does related to all of its state agencies. So just as a reminder, there's a capital budget, and that is a budget that provides construction. That's going to be projects that the state is going to pay for to be built. And then there's a transportation budget, and that focuses on just that, transportation, so highway systems and roads and ferries. And then the operating budget is all the spending. So that's the money that's going to come to your school. That's the money that might that's going to go for housing. Earlier this session, you guys were interested in that bill, House Bill 1570, that would address homelessness and housing issues. That bill has advanced, and it's on its way to the governor currently. And the budget today will identify additional resources for the Housing Trust Fund. We'll understand how much money is going into that fund for housing assistance that would be distributed throughout the state. So once the budget comes out today, depending on how they plan to process it, they get what's called a bump, where they take a vote and they say, because usually when they bring something to the floor for debate, it needs to sit there for 24 hours for people to take a look at it and provide input. But they may what they can do is bypass that rule by a vote of the legislators, and then they can overrule the 24-hour rule and begin debate on that bill. And that I'm uncertain yet. Those are some of the surprises we get working down here in Olympia, is we're not always sure what they have in mind as far as how they're going to process that. But the budget will be the last thing that they do. So they'll release the budget today, but they'll still continue to pass bills. All bills at this point in time have passed one chamber, or I should say most bills, probably 99% of them, have passed both chambers. And now they're just negotiating between the differences that might have happened. So remember, each chamber can amend a bill. They are resolving the differences that might have happened in one chamber versus the other. And then they're taking up budget bills, so policies that help implement the budget. Then the last vote that they'll take will be on that operating budget, and then everybody gets to go home.
When do they come back? When do they? Yeah.
They'll come back in January of next year for the biennial legislature.
Well, so what did
that is unless the governor calls a special session, and we don't anticipate that there will be an issue that he'll need to call a special session for, but he can always do that.
Fitzgerald and Cody. So what do all your representatives, what do they do from now until the end, right? So some of the students want to know, what are the Joe Fitzgibbon, Eileen Cody, our representatives, what are they between, say, tomorrow and January? Are they campaigning? Are they working in committees?
They will be campaigning, as well as they have regular jobs. Most legislators, being a legislator is a part-time job because they're technically only required to be here during legislative session, and then they work kind of part-time throughout the rest of the year. So there are teachers who are legislators, there are firefighters, bankers, people of all different sorts of professions. Eileen Cody, Representative Cody, is a nurse, so she will go back to working as a nurse. Representative Fitzgibbon, I believe he works in local government for the city. I'm embarrassed right now that I can't remember what he does. And then your Senator Nelson, I don't believe that she works any longer. So her job is, she retired from what she used to do, and now she works just solely as a legislator. So the whole House of Representatives have to run for election. So they will be campaigning for the November election, and then half of the Senate is up for election. So you will see lots and lots of campaign signs starting in spring and summer. Legislators go out and they meet with constituents and talk to them, but they also have to raise money for that campaign. So there will be lots of fundraisers that they attend where they will ask people, say, hey, I support, we share similar values. I hope that you will support me and help fund my campaign. A lot of announcements have occurred this week, and that is a lot of people are saying, I'm not going to run for re-election. And that means that there's more opportunity for other people to run for that office. And we'll hear a lot of retirements coming up over the next few weeks, which means that there will be a lot of new people here in the legislature. Starting in January, we'll have a lot of new people who have never worked in Olympia before. It'll be really interesting.
How often does our senator run for?
Our senators run every 4 years, and representatives run every 2.
So it makes sense. So Joe Fitzgibbon has to run every 2 years.
Yep.
Nelson every 4. What about Cantwell and Murray? They're in Washington, D.C., or they're a senator. How many years do they have to run?
That's 6, I think. Is it 6 or 8?
Yeah, 6.
6.
Yeah. It's a little bit different on the U.S. versus the state side. Yep. What will lobbyists do between now? Like, what's your job? Does it get busier? What starts happening?
The store said that they have to help push in order for something out. Something like that.
So say it louder.
So I will meet with my clients. So I'll spend probably the next month putting together, because we have to wait for bills to go into law, because we never know. The governor has the ability to veto portions of bills. So I pay attention to the bills that are going to the governor and what he passes, whether it's wholly accepts the bill or he makes some vetoes, and I continue to report that information back to my clients. And then my clients, I'll go out with my clients and we'll meet with legislators and continue to talk about the issues that are important to them and inform legislators about those items. But it is a slower time. During session, I work a lot of hours, and I'm very, very busy. I don't see my family very often. So outside of session, I get to spend, have a little bit more time with my family, and that's when I get to take vacations. And but I still continue to work with clients and develop their legislative priorities.
More questions, because this is our last Skype, last session for a while. Questions about? That's right, Nestor. Anybody on the homeless bills, homeless issues, things like that? Why don't you come on up? Okay, Henry, come on up. This is on. Here's Henry. He started our homeless idea at the beginning of the year. He was our inspiration here.
I have a quick question about self-defense laws and what age I can get a self-defense weapon. Like, for example, a baton. Like, do I need a license for it?
For a weapon?
For a self-defense weapon.
A defense weapon? Well, currently, most weapon the age is 18 to purchase a weapon. There are, I'm not familiar with other laws associated. I don't know what the definition of a defense weapon is, but you know, whether if it includes knives all the way to guns. The age is 18. The legislature did entertain a bill. You guys came down for it yesterday, 6620, that would increase that age to 21. And I don't see that bill advancing this session because there's just one day left and there's a lot that bill would have to do in order to make it through the process. However, I think I can say with 100% confidence that bill will return next year and be considered next year.
And also, do you need a license to own a self-defense weapon?
If it's a gun, you do. I don't believe to purchase a knife you have to have a permit. Purchase weapons, you do.
How about air rifles?
I'm not positive about that.
Because they're not really considered guns.
I mean, they are.
Well, as I said, I'm not completely familiar with all of the laws of Washington, just the ones that are proposed and advanced is what I become most familiar with.
He was a real big help on this.
I have a question to ask.
Sure.
Have the homeless bills ever passed?
Yes. So the one bill, 1570, that you guys were interested, that would collect a higher fee to go towards homeless assistance programs, that bill has passed. And I believe it's on its way to the governor, but that bill is for sure advancing. And then there's a number of other bills that relate to homelessness that are also advancing that we haven't talked about. But there was one bill that some people would lose their housing assistance when if they were in a if they moved from being disabled into a different type of homeless program, sometimes their benefits wouldn't transfer. So the legislature changed some rules so there wouldn't be a lag in when they'd receive funding. So there's a bill like that, and there's some other bills that allow local governments to your city or your county to raise funds locally and bond against them for constructing homeless or constructing additional housing. So there's probably about I'd say at this point in time, 5 pieces of legislation that address homelessness that look like they're in great shape and will go to the governor. But the big one that you guys were interested at the beginning of session is 1570, and that one's definitely in great shape and will become law.
Anything else? I'm going to thank Bryn for this special. So how do we proceed from here? Do we?
Well, you could, there is opportunity for the bills that you're interested in to write letters to the governor, encouraging him to sign them into law. There is that. I mean, that's always something that can happen. You can also look at the voting record of some of the bills you were interested in, and if your representatives were supportive of it, you can write thank yous to them. That's a way to carry out the
connections, things like that. If you want to be a page, kind of keeping up the context.
There's one lady that she's friends with that asked us her like or whatever. And, she has any,
Yeah, her name's I think page.
Yeah.
So is the age 14 for being a page at the Capitol?
You're going to be far away.
$35 a day.
14.
So once every 5.
So next year is a long session. So this year was 60 days. Next year it would be 105.
Oh, wow.
So there are that many more opportunities, that many more days to become a page. Legislators usually can sponsor only 2 people. 2 people for the entire session because there's that much interest in it. So if that is something you want to do, I'd write your legislator a note immediately and try to get on their list for them to sponsor you.
And do you have a question?
My question is,
She can't see you.
my question is if for example I'm 13 right now, if my birthday is all the way in March, so do I have to wait till I turn 14 to become a page, or
It doesn't end until May. I don't remember.
They would probably make you wait, or you would serve after you turn 14.
oh, okay.
Your position to all 16.
Remember my back yesterday?
What are we done?
Did it change from 16? Yes. Okay. I thought there was a couple more questions, but I don't think so. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah, right. Jim, question?
Any more questions?
You don't need a permit to fly a baton.
I don't know.
What's it?
A club.
Oh, like
You
this
gotta ask.
confetti thing? No, like
All right. Move over, Henry.
this.
Does it take a permit to carry a baton?
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Sorry.
Yeah, I looked up that question online yesterday. I couldn't find any answers as well. So,
Okay.
my
My thought is it probably does not require a permit. I think permits there are permits related to firearms, but not other types of weapon
Okay.
items.
Well, one more question here.
Can't be sure.
Yes.
I have one more. Have they changed the law for 16 to 18 from the
Yeah.
AR 15?
No, that bill is not probably going to pass this year. That's what I just mentioned, that we probably would see that bill come back next year.
Next year. Okay. Then we can work on that next year. It would be good. You guys come back. We'll work on. We could actually start working on it this year. As well. You know? Okay. But I think that's a great idea. Thank you letters, building connections, writing to our representatives, senators, governor. Okay, Millie, you
Yeah,
guys-
invite them into your classroom. See if Representative Fitzgibbon.
Listen, we can invite our Joe Fitzgibbon, Eileen Cody, Sharon Nelson to our classroom. We'll have more time.
But does that,
Oh yeah, Miss Lori said that she was talking to
Miss Locke just showed
she was talking to Jay Inson's wife. How about she came here, right?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll get Mr. Inslee or Mrs. Inslee. Good. Okay, well, class is wrapping up. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And do I need to send the speaker or anything back? Or how does that?
That'd be great. I'll send you an email about that. I'm
Okay.
actually going to send you a survey, and we can do certificates too as well.
Okay. Well, hey, this has been a lot of fun. I think even much improvement over last year. I think the kids, the questions, the focuses. So I'm really upbeat about how this really turned out. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, let's say thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thanks. All right.
don't leave it till 8.